unfortunately, Twitter is kind of volatile these days, all right? And one thing that Twitter did well, and it started to do very well, was the idea of doing state-affiliated media, like China's state-affiliated media. I mean, listen, China is using Twitter and various other social media, Western social medias, with impunity, even though they block it in their own country. So it's not China using it, it's the Chinese government. They use it only for propaganda purposes, okay? And the outlets like the Global Times, for instance, here you can see it's got its label up there. It says China state-affiliated media. It is the Chinese state. It's not like CNN or anything in America, for instance, like NPR or something, may have some funding from the government, but they still have independent editorial rights. So, for instance, even though they get some money from the government, they can still criticize the government. They can still say, hey, I hate...
Only criticize.
Yeah, exactly. I hate Biden sucks and Trump sucks and Bill Gates got a blowjob or whatever. Oh, no, that was Bill Clinton. But you know what I mean? But they could say that. They could say that, right?
I mean, he probably got one at some point.
I'm sure.
It's probably consensual.
Somewhere it is life. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, the fact of the matter is that in China, it's not the case. The Global Times, for instance, may not criticize the Chinese government. They may not criticize Xi Jinping. They may not say anything bad. All they can do is act as propaganda. So having a label like that is useful because when you see the Global Times, first of all, look at the name. It doesn't look Chinese, does it?
It was made to be like that.
You're like, Global Times. This must be some kind of international newspaper or something.
It's like the New York Times, but it's global.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They even use the New York Times font.
Yeah, they copied the design language. And they're like, well, we're going to talk about global political issues. But when all they say is America bad, China good, America bad, China good, that's all you see coming out of there. But like the normal person would look at Global Times and say, hey, this is a reputable news source.
Yeah, you know why? It even happens in Congress, remember?
Yeah.
Remember they entered that into the congressional record?
Exactly.
They quoted, what was that?
The Gates guy was
Matt
quoting,
Gates.
Yeah, was quoting the Global Times as a source.
Times, yeah.
So anyway, having a China state-affiliated media stamp on there is useful. Because it shows that, hang on a second, that is actually connected to the Chinese state, to the Chinese government, so I should bear that in mind when I consume this.
Yes. Now, I want everyone to understand how important that is.
Yeah.
It's not just because, it's only fair that a country that blocks Twitter gets labeled as propaganda because it has no editorial independence, right?
Sure.
That's in principle, of course. That's an of course.
Sure.
Right? That's a dangran, as we say in Chinese. But... it's also because people's attention spans are so terrible nowadays that a lot of people don't get past the headline.
Yes.
And if you're passively kind of absorbing information as you scroll and scroll and scroll, a clear label very much helps you to realize, oh, that one's from the Chinese state. Back off, right?
Yeah.
Or Russia, right? To remove those tags and labels is insulting. It's information warfare. We have a guy that is in charge of Twitter that is an American citizen that has just removed Americans' ability to see state-funded propaganda from two countries that call America their enemy. That's information warfare.
He's just an American citizen out of convenience. He's a South African / Canadian / whatever the hell he wants to be. Whoever's going to give him subsidies, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
The justification is, all state labels have been removed. The BBC has editorial independence. Yeah. NPR has editorial independence. All of these news outlets that he gave a label to, like ingest 69% government funded to the CBC, have editorial independence, at least to a certain degree. And whatever, if you want to be a pedantic loser, then you can add those unfair labels to some of these outlets.
Yeah.
But now removing them from very clear state mal-aligned actors, so that you don't know what you're digesting from your news, is really, really bad.
Yeah, so basically, if you haven't guessed it by now, Twitter has removed these labels.
Yeah, so we're going to come to that in a second.
These labels are all gone now.
I wanted to give people a taste of the Global Times.
Okay, yeah. You want to see some of the Global Times here?
Well, their newest project.
Okay.
What are they working on right now?
Well, the first issue of the Global Times Civilization series emphasizes Xi's ideas on the diversity and beauty of different civilizations. Literally, this is from China's state media, the Global Times. And they're talking about this new series they're doing of civilization, as in, you know, like you hear about Reaganomics or whatever, or, you know, where they mix it. Now President Xi and civilization are now one and the same.
He's not a president, dictator.
Sorry, dictator Xi. Civilization, isn't that just great?
That is North Korea level. That is Kim Jong-un level.
When I hear civilization, in my mind, I'm seeing squat toilets and, you know, like pork bones on the floor. You know what I mean? I'm not thinking about beautiful Chinese history here. No. You know, like there's a lot of good, beautiful Chinese history.
It's not
Xi Jinping does not embody any of that.
No.
Okay, he walks around in a Western business suit and is a dictator.
So you know what's crazy is that I think we're like Stockholm syndrome now, because the biggest thing back in the day was when Kim Jong-il they named a flower after him, which is already an existing flower.
Sure.
It's like a chrysanthemum or something, I can't remember. And they called it Kim Jong-ilia. And that was like the funniest thing in the world. Everybody in the West is cracking up about, how could a dictator like that name a flower after himself? That's just ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. We're at that level now with China. Civilization?
Yeah, Civilization series. Remember She in My Eyes?
She in My Eyes?
Like She's Thoughts.
She's Thoughts?
Yeah, everything about She. It's ridiculous.
I'm you know, the whole joke is like, well, it's not a joke. It's actually
it's deadly serious.
Well, but in Kim Jong-il shot like 18 holes of golf and 19 shots or something.
Yeah,
so you got all holes in one except for one.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to wake up one day and see that Xi Jinping shot 17 shots for 18 holes.
Yeah.
Somehow he got 2 in 1, like the ball split in half.
Yeah, exactly.
I just saw this meme in relation to this, which I thought was pretty funny.
Okay.
It said that the first issue of Global Times' Civilization series, and the response is, these are joke quotation marks, right?
Right? Yeah, no, they're not jokes. That's actually what they print. They're dead serious about the civilization garbage.
I mean, how obvious is it that China now is the Chinese government now doesn't believe that China is the Chinese people's thing? It's literally Xi Jinping.
Yeah. Xi Jinping's the one who knows about civilization. No one else.
No one else. It's his.
Yeah.
Xi's.
So anyway, here you go. You look at Chen Weihua, Liu Xing. These are very well-known, government-affiliated people.
They all had tags.
They had tags, you know. Li Jingjing, Andy Borham, all these people, their tags are gone.
Yeah.
I
don't know what's going to help. Hopefully they're just reimagining things.
This is not a good thing.
No.
Because these are propagandists and government officials. So when you've got a government official and a propagandist from a hostile government who's only using the platform for propaganda, because if you read any one of these particular Twitter accounts that you see up here, all you see is anti-Western propaganda and pro-China, pro-Russia propaganda.
Yeah.
That...
Pro-war, pro-genocide.
Right there is like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Why are they allowed to be on these platforms anyway?
Why they're first?
Yeah.
It's blocked.
Yeah. They're using VPNs to circumvent the Great Firewall of China to be on there. And then they're spreading propaganda, and now they got their labels taken away.
That's my problem with Elon Musk here, is that it's one thing to have a label, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing to even be on here.
Yes.
You're from a country's hostile government that blocks Twitter.
Yes.
Doesn't allow its own citizens because they think less of them and they don't want them to be poisoned and talk to anyone internationally because they want to control the narrative. But their diplomats and their people can go out and spread their propaganda, which calls for blocking that thing that they're on.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, right?
No, it doesn't.
Then you remove their tags so that nobody knows. And now no one going forward might not even know that Chinese people aren't allowed and could go to jail for using Twitter. People in China, normal citizens, if they go on Twitter and express their beliefs, many times go to prison in China.
Yes.
So where are we here? This isn't about, I don't care what you believe about China or Russia. Everyone should have an even playing field. Those countries don't give their citizens an even playing field. You just gave their diplomats unlimited anonymous power to spread propaganda.
And here we go. For instance, here we got China Xinhua News, which is the top most official news. All stuff coming out of Chinese news is official news from the government. But, this is the top one. Xinjiang, the largest cotton-growing region in China, now tops the wish list of places for foreigners visiting China. What a bunch of BS.
Well, I mean, why did they put this out, though?
Because they don't have a label anymore, and it looks natural.
Yes, and this is genocide denial.
Yes, it is.
If you know enough about the Cotton Saga they started this huge cotton thing promoting how now Xinjiang's national flower is the cotton.
Yeah.
And it's
Remember that one where
not
they're giving the
slave labor.
We did
Yeah.
where they gave the bouquet of flowers to
Instead of giving a bouquet, when the propagandists show up and they like come to visit, oh, I'm here in Xinjiang. There's no genocide here. Then the paid CCP people will come and give a bouquet of cotton.
Yeah, we did that on Shaban Ho. Remember
Yeah.
the spicy food foreigners? Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
wow, it's so beautiful. This wasn't picked with slave labor.
No.
Because there's been slave labor and cotton picking in Xinjiang.
Anyway, the fact of the matter is we don't want to bang on about this too much. If you want to see, I made a video called China's Genocide Theme Park, where it shows all the foreigners going there and doing this genocide denial stuff. All
And
going
I
to
did
the
the
same
whole
places.
cotton. Look up Lao 86 cotton Xinjiang.
Exactly.
I did a whole cotton video.
The fact of the matter is now that these articles coming out aren't labeled as Chinese state media anymore, and they're just going to look legitimate, and they're not.
No.
Is what we're trying to get
It's
at.
so unfair. And China pays for how many thousands and if not millions of Twitter bots to go out and spread this stuff.
Yeah.
It's going unchecked now. It's information warfare.
Russian state media here, RT doesn't have a label either.
Nope.
And they're currently
Freedom over
in...
censorship, truth over narrative.
Yeah, don't want
It's
your news filtered, watch us.
state-sponsored.
Yeah.
It's state-sponsored from a country that censors everything.
That's invading another country and
That's
at
invading
war.
another country. Now they have no label, so now you're going to look at that and be like, oh, what's RT? You notice how they don't say Russia Today like everywhere?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like Global Times. They
Yeah.
don't want you to think that it's from China.
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean, like Xinhua, they call themselves like New China News
Yeah.
and stuff. You know, they try to like trick you. Anyway.
Media challengers.
Yeah.
CGTN. Mm-hmm. That's another big one.
Yeah, so anyway.
Anyway, it's going to make our job a lot harder because when we show you something, we like to be able to put it out there and say, we don't have to say, this is state-sponsored This is state-sponsored media. You know what I mean? It's actually, this is going to muddy the water so badly.
Oh, yeah.
So, here we are. Oh my. Hitler!
The guy looks like a trash bag, you know?
I love my job. I love the kids.
Young girls, transvestites, transsexuals. Take those panties down.
Aw, that's weak. You kiss like you mean it.
Oh my.
Whew.
This is a gross episode. Gross people.
Gross, yeah.